Fore presented by Barstool Sports. We are live in Tucson, Arizona. We are together. It's myself, Trent, and Frankie.
JoJo left his home in Tucson, Arizona.
I was just waiting for him to do
some
that.
California grass.
And we're here for the Cologuard Classic. If you're watching on YouTube, you see this professional backdrop that we have. We're getting a bunch of interviews. We just interviewed Jerry Keller. We're going to put those out in the next week or two because we're banked with all kinds of phenomenal interviews. I think we got Derek Clark coming up. We got Rocco Mediate, who we've never spoken to, potentially a couple more. Big thanks to Cologuard for having us down here. And a quick note, if you're 45 plus, get Cologuard, get a screening because you are 90% more likely to survive colorectal cancer if you detect it early. And if you detect it late, it's only around 10%. So nice little PSA. They're doing great work getting that message out. Cologuard's obviously does a phenomenal job allowing people to, in their own homes, have a screening, take a test, and find out if you are positive or not. So Jerry Keller, he was awesome. And then we have JJ Redick in this show, who's obviously a megastar, one of the all-time legends of college basketball in Duke. I mean, all-time.
Yeah, I told him when he was on the show, and you guys will hear it, but I remember, I was probably 14, 15 when he was at Duke, and he was just the most electric college basketball player in the country. He was shooting from distances that people couldn't believe. Now Steph Curry has
He was Steph Curry, though, of college basketball then.
You're right. And
what Steph is now.
Right. He was just electric, and it was really, it's like not a full circle moment, but like having JJ Redick.
Rodick? Andy Rodick?
No.
Tennis player?
JJ Redick. Now having him on the pod after being like such a fan and observer of him when he was at Duke. And I'm not a Duke fan by any means, but when growing up in that era Duke. And watching him play, you couldn't help but catch the JJ Redick fever.
Top 3 Duke player of all time.
That's Jake Bass is more of a basketball guy than I am. He's shaking his
head.
Duke's pretty deep when it comes to alum, and I don't feel comfortable speaking on that topic, but he is certainly one of the greats.
Arguably top 3. Definitely top 5. The guy is an absolute weapon on the basketball court.
54 free throws in a row.
Yeah, he's fucking
Duke
nuts.
He 54.
116 schmil, I think it was, in career earnings in the NBA.
Yeah.
Not a bad payday for our guy JJ Redick. He worked his freaking dick off since the time he first shot at basketball to the time he stopped and he retired last year. He put every ounce of effort into that sport, and you're going to hear him talk about it all. You've probably heard him talk about it a lot on his podcast, The Old Man and the Three, which is a fantastic podcast. I've referenced it many times.
You stole from them.
Specifically when I heard them talking about...
You did kind of get away with stealing from them.
It's not stealing. I just I took it and elaborated it.
You expanded on the idea.
I expanded on the idea with Colin Morikawa and getting dressed up into your own, street clothes while you enter a tournament and go in the locker room. And now Tony Finau has completely taken it from me and refuses to say thank you or acknowledgement.
But you took it from them.
No, they kind of just... You got to go listen to the audio. They didn't expand on it. It was just like, it would be pretty cool if you guys wore some outfits. And he was like, yeah, that would be cool. So what'd you eat today? And I was just like, no, let's dig into that one.
All art is inspired by other art. There's no original ideas
Speaking
out there.
of art, can we get the camera on this thing? Trent, when you look at that piece of art up there, are you able
to? Phone,
so we're on YouTube right now. You can't turn that camera?
Wow.
You can't turn that camera, Bug? We're on YouTube, right? Turn that camera. We're on YouTube. When you look at that piece of art right there, what do you see, Trent?
That is a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. For sure. There's just no doubt about it.
That's
what it is.
What do you think that thing costs?
Too much to look like a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, I'll tell you that. But it's just funny. Art shows itself in many forms.
It does, man.
It looks like a nice savory piece of chocolate and peanut butter.
So,
yep.
JJ Redick talks a lot about golf. He's obsessed with golf. He's a golf nut. He messages us all the time about golf. And we talk about getting into the podcast game and the media world and the awkwardness of him going from one of the players who people were always asking him for stuff to all of a sudden he's awkwardly asking his boys, who, by the way, the guys that he's asking are some of the biggest athletes on.
We're talking about Chris Paul. That's who he references in the interview.
You want to call my podcast?
It's just different
He's
level.
Another level, yeah.
He's another level. And we had a great vibe with him. He's a huge fan of the show. He kind of knows all the ins and outs and the inside jokes and the quest that each one of us have. So he was a phenomenal interview. And then you add his pedigree and his background, his resume to the whole thing, and it's just awesome. So JJ Redick, this show is largely about him. If you haven't checked out the Tommy Fleetwood alternate shot video from Tuesday night, make sure you go on YouTube and check that one out because it's an excellent video.
It's on fire right now on YouTube.
On fire.
It's absolutely fucking. It's flying.
Well, we were watching the premiere last night on the drive back, and it had almost 4,000 live viewers.
It's been up for 14 hours. It's got almost 100,000 views.
Yeah,
Ooh, I think
So
that's
people
We're
love that
getting-
stuff.
We're getting going right now.
I'm seeing a lot of good chatter.
What?
Oh, the subscribers.
Oh,
189
we're
votes.
almost at 190,000 subscribers. When we get to 190,000, we're doing our live stream on YouTube, PGA Tour 2K21. Trent and I are going to attempt to
Get a hole in one.
get a hole in one.
Yeah.
Took
Last time
16
it took
hours
us-
last time?
16 hours
Oh,
it took
okay.
us. We'll see what happens. We're going to do all the money. We're going to donate all the money to the First Tee program. So there's going to be a nice little donation on there. We did it last time. We raised already $2,000 just from the super chat on YouTube. I don't know how it happened, but it's in there, and we are going to try and raise as much money as possible. So 190,000. Go fucking subscribe. You're doing nothing with your life. You're driving on
we
your way
go.
to work.
Yeah,
You have a
just
freaking
subscribe.
cute-
Please subscribe.
You-
Please.
It's
And then
absolutely
just please watch
pathetic
the-
existence
please
to
just-
not just subscribe to
Please
a
just
YouTube
watch
page.
the Tommy Fleetwood video.
You're out there fucking plumbing fucking pipes. Let's
And
go.
then-
You got to watch this YouTube page.
And then another thing that we have to discuss on this show is the Phil Mickelson statement, which is, I would say, potentially the least popular statement that's ever been received by people.
A lot of words, dude.
An enormous amount of words.
It
Brando,
did. It came out yesterday, and I hadn't seen it yet. And we were in the car, and Frankie just turned his phone to me and said, "Phil Mickelson's putting out a lot of words right now."
we're gonna definitely get into it. I thought our guy Brandel, who had a great weekend with Brandel, he lives up in the Greyhawk area now, and
Does he really?
yeah, invited my buddies and I who were in town over to his place on Saturday evening, and it was him and his wife Bailey playing hosts, cigars, scotches, drinks. Maybe the best host. He's got a little chipping green. We were doing like chipping contests in the backyard. Just the best.
He
Brandel's
was
like the best guy.
He was a Florida, Connecticut guy, kind of going back and
Orlando, and then they moved everything up to Connecticut. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Well, I'm leaving Florida then," and came back here. And I think he commutes out to the studio in Connecticut when he needs to go for stuff.
forth. That's a plane ride.
It's a bit of a plane ride, but he would like to rather live in Arizona than Connecticut.
Good
But
for Brandel.
Brandel had a perfect tweet on it. He goes through. He says, "Just read Phil's statement. It's 6 paragraphs. The first paragraph set the stage for him being a victim. The second paragraph is him pretending to be an activist. The third and fourth paragraphs are about spin and damage control / money. And the fifth and sixth paragraphs are him saying he's a good guy." So
It's so long.
we got a lot to get into for that. And then there was a players meeting. Zach Johnson was announced as the captain. He wasn't even announced. I think it just broke. It's been reported, I guess we will say, as the captain for the 2023 United States Ryder Cup team.
Really exciting for the boys. All three of us.
Much to get into. First, you should get into Animules. Okay, I've spoken about this. I played with these guys. You're looking for something different, new, unique, fun. We played a different format yesterday. We played golf. We played a scramble against a pro. It's not just traditional, and there's not just one way to play. Animules is another great way to play. You get all kinds of cool animules that you can pick up for certain shots. If you hit a cart path, if you hit a rock, if you lip out, there's all kinds of stuff that you can acquire. If you're the zookeeper, when the beverage cart comes around, you got to buy around, and then it's a clean slate. There's a few different ways you can play, so make sure you download the app for free. It creates a game within the game. It doesn't really matter what your skill level is. You could be destroying the other people in the traditional golf score, but losing in Animules. And again, it's fun. There's a lot of cool terms that they came up with. It's the simplest and most fun wager of any golfing day. Every time the beverage cart comes along, someone is going to be paying. So download the Animules app today. That is ANAMULES, available for free in Apple and Android app stores. Download today. Add this to your regular gameplay. Again, that's Animules, and it is a very fun time. Okay. First thing I want to get into is the Max Homa match, and just have an open discussion about the content release plan. People were obviously upset. Some people were upset that it wasn't live. Other people were upset that they don't know the result. Some people are saying, please don't spoil it for me because I'm going to watch the full YouTube video. To be frank, we don't really know what the hell we're doing.
After each one of these matches, we have maybe a 2-hour meeting, an impromptu meeting at the golf course after the pro leaves, and we talk about what do we think is the best way to do this, and we've done it different ways each time. Now, if you go on YouTube and you subscribe to the Foreplay YouTube channel and you look up the 4-man scrambles, you will see that many of them, I would say all of them, have monster views. So they're going to get a ton of views no matter what. We're just trying to maximize the experience for the people who watch our content. And I don't know if we have an answer yet, because it's, do we want to give away the result? Do we not want to give away the result? Do we even want to tell people we're doing it? Or do we just want to surprise drop it? How do we want to do it? And like Riggs said, we don't have an answer. We're just being very open about the way that we do these things.
And what I would say is that a big thing that we've focused on in the last couple of years is highly produced long-form YouTube videos. The travel series, obviously the scramble, a few different like rounds videos where we did Torrey Pines and we did Bethpage Black, and it includes drone footage and colorization that our guys do, and highly produced stuff with interviews and audio that really makes these videos cool. We want to protect that experience rather than somebody kind of finding out exactly what happened or seeing a final putt through like an iPhone, like a blurry iPhone live putt at 18. Like, we were trying to, our theory in not putting it live the whole match and not putting out all the clips in real time was to protect that experience for the viewer on YouTube, because those get millions of views. The Kisner match has 2.2 million views. But we're also a very instantaneous culture now, and protecting the result of things is kind of psychotic. I mean, Twitter and everything is real in real time. People want to know in real time. We talked about the match the week before. Max is tweeting about the match. We're all tweeting about the match, but then we're like protecting the result. So we all are aware of that and spoke about that last night, and we were like, we don't really know what the fuck we're doing or the best way to do it. We probably should have just gone live for the whole thing and then also tweeted out social clips and then also do the highly produced video that'll come out in like 3 weeks. But we honestly just don't know.
What do you think?
We made a huge mistake so we always had the plan to do it after. It was always going to be film this. A couple weeks go by. We would have put it out. We're going to put it out a little bit earlier, but then the Players Championships that week, all the guys are going to be there. We're going to be covering that. So the week after that, we're probably going to put it out. The problem that we had is that we talked about it too much, and it became everyone wants to watch this match. It's a huge match. It's one of our biggest matches we've ever had. There's so much hype around it. Max Homa is a Twitter guy. He gets a lot of action. So, like, we did talk about it. We prefaced it. We were hyping it up. And then all of a sudden, it's like, all right, we're playing this match. We're here. We're live for a couple holes. So we were really just, teasing people. Edging them. Being like, here it is. Come get it. And then just pulling it back at the last second.
Yeah.
Just dry mouths.
Just putting our hands in their pants and then just
at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't have done that. We should have just I'm a firm believer now. At this point, I think now we can just blast these things on social media, take over the day. I mean, the clips, I'm telling you guys, I'm not just saying this to try and sell the story, to sell the video. The clips that are going to come out of this are all-time Barstool moments. I mean, Barstool golf moments specifically. Like, just our greatest match ever. Just the ups, the downs, the surging from a Max Homa. I mean, the things that happened were insane. The crowd. At one point, I stepped up to the tee box, and there was 100 people around the tee box, like patrons, all so gassed up because of how tight the match was. And it just got dead silent as I stood over the ball. And I remember thinking to myself, as I'm looking at the ball, being like, I'm in a Tiger Woods video game right now. I am literally, like when you put an Oculus on for virtual reality and what they try and give you an experience, like a virtual reality experience, I was living it in real life. Like, fans were watching and waiting to see where my ball was going to go. And then I ended up piping a drive. The place went crazy. I picked up the tee. I walked back. I said, I just lived a fantasy. I literally lived a fantasy. So, yes, that would have been amazing to show that in real time on Twitter. People would have interacted with it, and like everyone would have seen it, and it would have been a huge day on Twitter. But like, then you kind of spoil how amazing and all the drama that happens on YouTube. So we are going back and forth. I'm leaning towards just put it all out. It's gonna get views regardless. People are gonna want to watch.
I think that's kind of what we agree.
And like, let us know, message us, like, tell us what you think. And I think the general consensus will be, yeah, I kind of want to know, like, in real time. If you're going to preface that, if you're going to say we're doing this match and we're going to promote it, you have to let us know what's going to happen, because I want to know. I want to go in my group chat. I want to send DMs to my buddies about all the good shots. And then I also, in 3 weeks, want to watch the whole thing. I want to watch Max Homa in his cart talking about it, because we have him mic'd up. I want to see you guys interact with Max Homa. So I think we have to do it all. Yeah. Or we just don't tell people that we're doing it, and then we're just like, hey, in 2 weeks we have this fucking match with, like, I don't know, like Scotty Scheffler or something, and it's just like, it just pops up right in your eyeball, and you're like, holy shit. look at what's coming up in 2 weeks. Like, I can't wait for that.
If we can't do it that way, then I think we have to put everything out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
If we can just purely protect it, which I think is really hard, but I do think if we can do
can't
that,
because now we want the fans. We want fans at every single one.
True.
The fans change the whole.
We're
thing.
just gonna
it was so
fucking
great.
go. We're gonna fucking go live, I think, and maybe not even just live, just clips like crazy, just a ton of clips.
Yeah, because we are trying to. We're living in two worlds. We're living in the YouTube world and we're living in the Twitter world, and we want to perform in both. And I think that we can.
YouTube world helps our business as much as an open book as this has to be. The YouTube world is huge for us. Like, we need to be big on YouTube, and that is something that we
you
really
made that really clear.
What?
You've been mean to people about.
Yeah,
subscribing.
and look, dude, bro, we started. I looked at the stats the
don't
other day.
get 'em
We had
riled
like-
up now.
we had like-
My bad.
We had like 30,000 YouTube subscribers in 2021 in the beginning of it. Maybe
It's
at the
important.
end of 2020. Dude, we've gained 150,000 YouTube subscribers recently. Like, in a
It's-
recent time, like maybe 2 years.
It's super important, but what Rick said at the beginning is also important, where we live in such an instantaneous culture, and specifically the Barstool culture is very instantaneous. You do something,
I was
you
sick
put
to
it
my
out.
stomach last night not putting it out.
You do stuff, you put it out, people react, you react to that, it goes crazy, and you sort of own the days that you do these big events.
It's the Barstool world.
Right, absolutely. And we want to live in that world as well. That is the world that we live in. So I think what we're coming down to, and the conclusion we're coming to, is just put it all out there. This match that we did with Max Homa, it's gonna go on YouTube almost regardless, because it's such a good match. He's such a big name. He's so relevant.
Talking to the camera.
It's
all
all
going to
be great, and I think we just got to put it out there, because Frankie's right. You got to own the day when you do something.
We would
I
have
think that's right.
owned
I think
Twitter
that's,
yesterday.
I agree. I think that's where we're going to go for sure. My biggest concern was protecting the full experience on YouTube for viewers that want that experience. I think it's tough to avoid it. If you follow us on YouTube and you're going to be that excited about the match, you're going to see the result most likely on social, because the clips are going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it's a better value overall to just get it out there. Everybody wants to see it. So that may have been a miss on our part. Like I said, we're trying to figure this shit out. You know us very well from us speaking into your ears every week for like 5 hours straight, and we just don't know all the answers. So
Do we feel comfortable putting a date on this thing? The 15th. March 15th at 8 o'clock at night. We're
Yep.
going to go live with this thing.
that's currently the plan. I will say we always have to change times because there's something going on at Barstool, but that's
All right, but
currently
March
the plan.
15th evening. So we're going to watch this thing with you as a viewer and everyone listening right now. We're going to watch this. We're going to do a premiere. So it's essentially, this is my argument to some guy in my DM, because I always fucking respond. He goes like,
how
he goes,
well
"I
does that
that's
sum
right.
up
He goes-
Frankie?
he goes,
This
"I
was
want-"
my argument that I had with some
Well,
guy
I'm
in my
usually-
DMs.
yeah, he basically, it wasn't an argument, but it was like we were trying to. He was trying to say, like, how are you gonna let us know that this is happening? And then, like, you guys are live right now. Like, I want to know what's happening right now. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, yes, we made the mistake of letting you know, but why can't you just think that we're live on March 15th, and that's just a fully edited, fully produced video? Like, we're literally going to push it live on March 15th, and you're not going to know the answer until that video is over. It's essentially live that night.
But I would
you know
say,
what
like,
I mean?
The Bachelor, everybody knows they're filming The Bachelor.
Right.
It doesn't come out like in
Exactly.
real time. You know that that's happening, but
Correct.
it's the same. It's not that much different.
You're not
Like,
going to be able to fast forward the video. It's going to be live. So, like, if you really want to watch the live experience on March 15th, it's going to come out, and it's going to be amazing. Like, we're going to premiere it, the whole thing. It's going to be live, just like we're playing at 8 o'clock on, or whatever the time we're going to do on March 15th. It's essentially, we're playing on March 15th, and we're just going live.
Yeah, and the reason it takes that much time, so people understand, is, our guys have probably 20-something videos right now to edit. Okay, we have, like we said, we have 18 weeks straight of videos coming out from the TaylorMade Shoot Day. We do all kinds of other video series, from Trent breaking 100, Trent breaking 90. We're going to add Fixing Frankie, the Riggs Verse videos, the Daily 9 videos, the Scramble videos. And the Scrambles take the longest because we have drone footage. We have 5-6 people mic'd up. We have fans. We're trying to showcase the entire experience. They have to show each one of our shots pretty much. They have to get all the audio from the visuals and audio from the
700 gigs.
GoPros. From Max's cart, from our cart, from Trent and Frankie's cart. All this stuff they have to digest the content after, getting all in one place, digest it, understand it, come up with like a plan of how exactly to edit it, colorize it, all of this stuff. It just takes fucking time, and our guys work nonstop. So, and then also Players Championship Week, the PGA Tour asked us very kindly, can you not release this video during Players Championship Week, because that's obviously our flagship event. We got live from coverage going on each night, and then tournament play Thursday through Sunday. We said no problem, we'll release it the following week. So March 15th is currently the plan.
It's great news that we're in that arena where they're like, don't put that video out the week of our biggest tournament of the year, please.
Too big of a video.
That's insane.
You know what I mean?
This video is going to get so much action that they don't want it to take away from the players.
It's a totally fair ask, and we're going to obviously abide to it.
You said no problem.
Yeah, no problem
and
at all.
If you're in the world of knowing about files and stuff like this, these guys are doing 700 gigs of video and audio. It's
and there's also, by the way, there's also a real chance that people don't give a fuck about any of this.
No,
like this is very behind the curtain. Like we're trying to talk it out, and we have these talks in real time, but we're just trying to show you guys that like it is a production. This whole thing, we try to put out as much content as we can. Some things get in the way. We don't do it right all the time, but we're trying our best, and that's really just what it comes down to.
And there's a part of me that makes me hard knowing that no one knows what happened yesterday.
You're a sick fuck.
You know?
Yeah, you're sick. Anyways, that's the plan, and that's where our head's at. So we're just trying to be open, fair, honest, and if we made a mistake, we're going to try to fix it next time.
Yeah.
Phil Mickelson. Statement from Phil Mickelson was indeed 6 paragraphs long. KPMG came out and dropped him. They were the first company that dropped him. Probably, one of his biggest sponsors.
When I think of KPMG, I think of Phil Mickelson.
Yeah,
he's
straight up.
Right on his fucking hat.
Yeah.
They're just right there. Now they're gone. 4 big letters, KPMG. Their statement I thought was sneaky scathing, where they said, we're severing, we're amicably, or they use one of those words, separating, our partnership with Phil Mickelson. We wish him the best. And they had a separate paragraph that was like, we fully plan to continue our sponsorships in support of the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour, where we have a major championship. So, like, they were very much like, we are not in the Phil Mickelson Saudi camp. We are in the PGA Tour camp. Essentially, a pledging our allegiance to the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour statement. Phil is taking time away from golf.
I mean, he's put himself on an island.
Ooh,
and
boy.
the state, I mean, it's really been a whirlwind of a month for Mr. Mickelson.
What a fucking idiot. What a fucking idiot Phil Mickelson is. How does this happen? And, you have to think, if you go look at this guy's net worth, if you just Google it, it says like $400 or $500 million. So for him to be in this situation, he, and the phrase that everybody uses that's starting to become a phrase that I despise, but everybody uses it, he thinks he's the smartest person in every room he ever walks in. So everybody says. But it is a very mean thing to say to somebody about somebody. Like, there's no good connotation to that. And it's very clear that he's just not, because he is a fucking idiot. And there's only really 2 ways that that he could find himself in this position. One is that he's an idiot because he completely ruined his reputation and is losing sponsors and losing his status on the PGA Tour and losing all kinds of relationships just to get a little bit more money when he should have hundreds of millions. Or B, he's a fucking idiot because he's such a degenerate and been hiding so many things about his life that he's lost all or a significant chunk of his money, which it's fuck you money that he has lost. It is not like, I understand somebody can go through $10 or $20 million. You buy a couple of the wrong homes. You give a few million to charity, to a couple family members. You go out for 10, 20 years straight, and you're always buying $10, $20, $30,000 dinners or nightclubs. You can go through that amount. Hundreds of millions of dollars to go through. You got to be a fucking moron. And Phil always claims with taxes, and he's been on record, complaining, I would say, about that. He's always calculated with the media. He's always telling these stories. He wants these stories to get out about being at the champions dinner and talking about certain fruits and the history of different food and what he knows. And so the smartest person in the room thing clearly seems to be relevant and correct. And it seems like everyone is piling on Phil right now, but it seems warranted, because what a moron, what a crazy statement where he only apologized to the Saudis. He did not apologize to the PGA Tour at all. Didn't even mention the PGA Tour. Only mentioned the Saudis. He was clearly, it seemed, more upset that the Alan Shipnuck comments that he made, calling them scary motherfuckers, going on about how they execute people for being gay, going on about how they brutally murdered a journalist who was critical of the Saudi regime. Like, he, in this statement, comes off only upset and mad at himself about making those statements, not about the statements of golf in general and the PGA Tour. And what's crazy, and this is another great point I heard Brandel make, I think on PGA Tour radio, was his statement that, like, golf needs serious change. No, it doesn't. What do you mean golf needs serious change? And another point Brandon made is like, go talk to any equipment manufacturer. Go talk to our boys at TaylorMade. People are backed up for months trying to get clubs because everyone wants golf clubs. Go talk to any private golf club in the country. There are now, their initiation fees are 5x, 10x what they used to be. They've got 3, 5, 8-year waiting lists where 3 or 4 years ago they couldn't get people to buy memberships. Golf is booming, and we talked a lot about the stars at the top level and how riveting they are and how much more exciting a lot of the tournaments are and a lot of the drama has been. Golf is fucking phenomenal right now. There's resorts everywhere. Every resort in the country, golf resort, from Pinehurst to Bandon to Cabot to Streamsong, they're all adding golf courses because the demand is so high. Golf's phenomenal. The only thing that he's talking about, and this is why he's coming off like such a fucking scumbag, is him saying like golf really needs serious change because he wants more money because clearly he's fucked up his monetary status, and him using all this other stuff as cover for his own idiocy with his own financials and wherever he finds himself. Boy, is that guy in a bad place, and it seems like he should be.
Yeah, he is. There's something else going on because, like you said, he is as calculated as you can get. He's been the most, outside of Tiger, maybe the most calculated person in terms of dealing with the media and dealing with everyone and sort of how he wants the world to view him. So for him to then make these comments, and as stupid as they are and as outlandish as they are, like, why, you got to dig a little deeper and like, why is he doing this? It seems like there's other elements at play. It's really kind of incredible how much he has torpedoed his legacy over the last 45 days. And it's something I never thought that I would see. And that all that combined makes you think, as you alluded to, that he just somehow fucked up his money. And it's just now he's throwing Hail Marys. And it's ruining the perception of Phil Mickelson.
Jake, hit the music. A haiku. Oh, Phil Mickelson, you had a ton of money. You really fucked up.
That's a haiku.
Is that your first haiku?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Are we going to do different poetic formats?
I think so. Okay. I mean, we have to now.
That was good. Yeah.
That one must have 575. Yeah. You know.
Gosh.
Fucking around my. Sorry. We'll get to him, but I thought we had to knock at the haiku while we were.
Yeah. Was the Octic Barometer? Was there one of them that's? That one that feels like must have taken less commitment to come up with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
But
you know what helped is Mickelson has a lot of syllables in it.
Yeah, true.
But it hit just as hard.
Yeah, it did. And you know what?
That was poignant.
I'm upset about Phil Mickelson because he's a lefty and he's an iconic guy and he's been huge for the game of golf. There's no denying that. And all of the stuff that he's done in his private life and all the money that maybe he's lost and all of this bullshit that's gone on, like, that's all horrible. And anyone that he's ruined, there's all these stories about Phil and his gambling and all of this stuff, and you just don't know what's true and what's not. And if he's ruined anyone's life, he's the worst person on the planet.
There's been rumors forever that he's phony Phil.
Yeah, it is.
With the thumbs up and just
there has
full
been
shit all the time.
But as a sports fan, you kind of just like take sports for what they are, and you have like blind allegiances to these guys, and because there's
to a degree you are aware that nobody's perfect. So you're like,
100%.
He's a little phony, whatever.
There's always been that with Phil, and we're fucking the biggest Tiger Woods fans of all time. So let's you know what I mean? We can't be throwing stones at glass houses. And at the end of the day, he fucked up big time, and it's sad to see because he didn't need to. He's clearly grasping at straws because he has something that he needs, right? Like, he needs this deal. Golf doesn't need this deal, and it's become more evident in the past 48 hours that it's only a Phil Mickelson. This is like a Hail Mary by Phil Mickelson, and he's tarnishing and ruining his legacy, which I'm a huge fan of. I love Phil Mickelson. I as a golfer, Phil Mickelson is one of the most fun people to watch on the golf course. The lefty, the thumbs up, everything about it. The just creative, hitting balls backwards off of those crazy
scrambling goals. Yeah,
recklessly aggressive,
bending balls around the trees and iconic shots and Masters championships and the whole thing. It's just, it fucking sucks that because he wants to go to the Saudi league and get all this money, and he said this horrible thing about Saudis, and it's just he's spiraling right now, and I feel like if someone could just grab him and be like, and Eamon Lynch I think actually talked about this, which is when he writes anything about Phil or anything. It's laugh out loud funny how he daggers them with every single word he writes. I don't know. That man is a thesaurus. It's crazy.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He requires a thesaurus to read his.
Oh my God, it's nuts. And he, I think at one point, I don't know if it was him or I think it might have been a tweet, but he just surrounded himself with just so many yes men. No one is shaking Phil, being like, dude, you can't put out these statements about when they execute gay people. Like, you have to restructure the PGA Tour. You can't do that. You can't say that right now. You're Phil fucking Mickelson. So it sucks that this is happening to him, and I wish it didn't because Phil's the man. And
it's an implosion. I think the latest
he
word
is absolutely imploding
from Eamon was implosion.
Dude, and it's happening fast.
And
really quickly.
it's not even that he wanted the Saudi money. It's almost worse. He wanted to use that to create leverage against the PGA
Which makes
Tour.
no sense.
And it's like, no, dude.
I talked about this last show. Like, I was like, oh, these guys want to make money. They want to do it. He's made me feel like it was the worst idea ever created to ever even align yourself with those guys. And he's going all in on it. This is the best thing that's happened to the PGA Tour because of how bad it made any other tournament or any other league ever
This
look.
is the best PGA Tour's looked in my
Ever.
lifetime. In my lifetime.
They're
They
running
really didn't
back
have
to the
to do
PGA
much.
Tour with open arms. They're like, please, like, we love you. We're kissing your feet. This is the best thing ever. Like, this, I never want to leave. This is amazing.
It's almost like if you're just a totally average boyfriend, and then your girlfriend like breaks up with you, goes dates a new guy, and the new guy is just
crazy.
Yeah.
Staying out all
cheating
hours
all
of
the
the night.
time, mean.
Yeah, right.
And all of a sudden, you, the ex, you're just all of a sudden.
But
a
that new
prince.
relationship started with like private jets and like going to clubs,
Right.
and you're like, fuck, I can't provide any of those things.
And the
Yeah.
PGA
Comes
Tour
running-
just hasn't done anything, and it's just looking
PGA
better.
Tour is
and
Rob, my buddy
better.
Rob, just fucking just plucking away numbers and just
I don't know if
getting
the
job
PGA
done.
Tour is your buddy Rob. All right. I've heard. No, I don't. I love Rob. I don't think the PGA Tour is your buddy Rob, but I think Riggs' comparison is the most apt. That if you just don't,
Fucking Rob,
if you're not crazy and you're pretty set and standard, and you're making professional golfers, millions of dollars, and you just kind of stand pat, you're going to be okay when a league comes around who has an incredibly shady and bad background. The PGA Tour is going to look pretty good.
Frankie, do you think if every time we reference your boy Rob that we could call him, just get a live
No, we
update on what he's
can't.
doing?
No,
you can't
we
even
can't.
talk.
No, you can't.
I've never met Rob. I've heard all of the stories about Rob, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. I would be a little starstruck.
You can't meet Rob. No.
No, I don't want to. I want to, but I don't want to. You know?
Maybe one day.
Maybe.
Maybe one day. He'll never live up to your expectations because it's the legend of Rob is too much.
It is just, it's a gargantuan.
He knows about his
legend.
legend a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's every night with that guy. It's every time I meet up with him. There's another story from Rob. It's just
Implosion, Phil Mickelson.
Implosion, Phil Mickelson. That's where we're at. He said he's stepping away from the game of golf, so who knows when we'll get him back. I did see, maybe it might have been Danny Rappaport or DeChair. One of those two, I think, was tweeting like there's a possibility the next time that we see Tiger and Phil playing in the same tournament could be the Masters, which would be, if the Masters doesn't already have its own, hoopla and hype and excitement. Imagine what kind of weird tournament it could be this year if it's all of a sudden Phil and Tiger back.
If you take 3 steps back, which is tough to do because you're dealing with some serious shit with all this, but if you take 3 steps back, golf it's in the forefront of people's minds in terms of headlines,
Making
and
waves.
People over there, like KFC texted us this morning. I know when KFC texts us, I know that it has gotten outside of the golf bubble.
might be a 1 minute man or something. you
Right.
know?
He texts us. He's like, this Phil Mickelson stuff is crazy.
Let me say, overall, this whole Saudi thing has been awesome. I mean, they're horrible, but from an entertainment standpoint, things to talk about in this golf show.
Headlines.
Drama around the golf, headlines.
Yeah.
You're talking about some of the biggest stars in the history of golf potentially aligning with one of the worst regimes on planet Earth. Like, what the fuck are you
Do you
talking
think what
about?
Phil has
What?
done is going to earn him like booze or
Yes.
jeers at golf courses?
Yes.
Is that the word I was looking for? Jeers?
Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. I think it's been such widespread disapproval that it's going
So
to...
when if he shows up to Augusta National, you think people are going to boo him?
Not everybody, but I do think he'll get some booze.
Wow.
He'll get some heckles.
Heckles for sure.
And just like with everything in time, it'll go away. I think
Agreed.
if he just stops fucking tweeting and talking.
But I will say too, showing up at Augusta, that's sort of a big part of the reason Tiger returned there in 2010 was like it's a little bit safer,
Clean slate.
It's a little cleaner. It's you're protected. It's Augusta. There's patrons. There's not fans.
No phones. No bullshit.
Right. So I do think that might be a little safer. But he shows up at the Waste Manager or the Honda Classic or something like that.
People go crazy.
He might get some heat.
Yeah.
Speaking of heat, how about the stealth driver from TaylorMade Golf?
Oh my gosh. A little more edging for you, but some of the drives we were hitting during that Max Homa video are just phenomenal. And apparently a Rory McIlroy video is coming out in a couple of weeks where he shows us how to get as much power and length as we can possibly get from the stealth driver.
It worked, dude.
Boy, did it work, and boy, did he hit some absolute atom bombs. That's going to be, I mean, you know what's actually crazy is that video might be fucking big. I mean, that we're not even thinking about that video, and it's going to do, it might be bigger than fucking Max Homa one. I mean, it's Rory McIlroy. What are we talking about?
I'm thinking about.
So yeah, the stealth driver is phenomenal. I was actually talking to Duchesne was texting me last night about it because his podcast just came out and he was just thanking us for having him on and just the nicest guy ever. And he was like, "How's that stealth driver really?" And it's like, dude, it just feels different. Like we had the Sim 2, and the Sim 2 was the best thing we had ever felt at that time, and that's true. We're not lying about that. At the end of the day, like you just got to go try this thing out.
Yeah.
Go to a PGA Superstore. Go wherever you got to go. Go try this thing out in a simulator. Go hit it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love the way the red face looks too in real life. There's just something about like you can hit it and it still goes. It doesn't spin off the club. It just fucking goes, man.
That's big for us too.
You've heard us talk about them, obviously, but go try out the Stealth. I've seen a couple custom ones coming in because you can customize on TaylorMade Golf's website. You can do that with your My Spiders, too. The Spider X, that's what I rock. It's really good. Tour Response golf ball. I use that a lot. I also use the TP5s and the TP5Xs. I kind of mix them up because, I'm a little bit superstitious myself. So if I pull out a Tour Response, even though it's not the same price point as TB5, it's a phenomenal golf ball. I use it, play really well, keep that thing in play. Eventually I play poorly, but that's not the equipment's fault. Visit barstoolsports.com/TaylorMade. Check out TaylorMade and Barstool Golf Gear. That is barstoolsports.com/TaylorMade. The new Stealth. It's just phenomenal. Players meeting in Honda. I believe that was Tuesday. It was mandatory for the people that were on site. Commissioner Jay Monahan spoke about the Saudi League, said the PGA Tour is more about more than just money, and it's time to move past this entire thing. There's some talk about the fall season changing. Top guys want more of an off season, and really with the FedEx Cup situation now, they're kind of forced into playing some fall series events. Otherwise, you get way too far behind in the FedEx Cup standings. It's a lot harder to catch up, and now there's such a big prize, $15, $20, $25 million, whatever the hell it is for first place, that top guys don't want to get behind, so they don't really get an off season. Players want more transparency, which makes sense. Some rumors that the PIP results are going to be coming out as part of this. And then my favorite part, this from Danny Rappaport, who said that Phil's statement dropped during the meeting. So tour officials were not prepared with a response. Once the word spread, everybody obviously checked to see it. So I'm envisioning all these people at this, required meeting at the Honda Classic players meeting with commissioner, and then it's almost like in succession or something like that when like news drops.
Yeah,
everybody's
the phones
meeting.
start bing,
nobody's
bing,
fucking
bing,
paying
bing.
attention. Everybody kind of runs out of the room and they start calling their handler and they're trying to deal with it. That's literally like what happened. I'm like, oh shit, Phil Mickelson's statement came out. So we'll see what really comes out of the players meeting. And then last thing before we throw it to JJ Redick, which I really hope everybody sticks around for because he's phenomenal. Zach Johnson, captain of the 2023 United States of America's Ryder Cup team.
Italia.
He's going into Italy. How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it. I
bet you do.
I feel so good about it. He's more than deserving, and I know, when we had him on the show, you had alluded to having him back on to talk about a lot more and being like, you're kind of maybe the favorite to be the Ryder Cup captain. Maybe you or Phil, and we know what happened to the other guy. And
you think, Phil's just that one goodbye.
Yeah. And so, my guy ZJ, our guy ZJ, I think even after that interview, we all kind of had a come to Jesus moment, and we all became ZJ fans. And I think that's going to be great. He's just, a humble kid from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, who won the British Open. He won the Masters. And now he's going to be Ryder Cup captain. He's got a street named after him in Cedar Rapids. He's a legend in my life, and he's just a legendary figure.
Now we get to sell those shirts with him as the astronaut.
Yeah.
Because he's the captain. and it's just
Like,
going to be
what's
phenomenal.
more American than being the Ryder Cup captain and an astronaut?
Nothing. How do you feel about your boy Kisner's chances of making a team that's led by Zach Johnson?
I would say Kiz is going to be a couple years older, obviously. Coming 2 years, he's already kind of, high 30s. A big part of the reason I was pushing so hard is I thought that was probably Kiz's best chance was this last year. It was a big part of the reason I was pushing so hard. I thought if he went there and played really well, then he would potentially, have a really good shot at getting on the next couple teams because of that. But I thought him winning a month or so beforehand, him having been on the President's Cup team within the last few years, all of those things, that this was going to be our best shot to get our guy on the team. I don't feel as good going into 2023, to be honest with
And
you.
all of the
Zach
kids.
Johnson's like an old regime type guy too. I think he's by the book.
I think so, too.
He's not a new school manager coming in looking at the analytics.
He's not gonna shake things up like
no
crazy.
chance.
And again, all love to Kiz. We love him. He's the best. But after that dominant performance, things are like, I think we got a blueprint here that things are going pretty well right now.
Yeah, there's not as strong of a case for
Right.
throwing in a Kisner team guy, which were all my arguments.
Do you think we'll be in Italy?
Oh, yeah.
God, I would fucking love to go to the
We're going
motherland.
to Italy.
Yeah.
You
Although
kidding me?
I'll say we got to should probably start that process now. We got to start schmoozing up to the European tour a little bit. Maybe go to a European tour event.
We've talked about.
over in
the
Scotland.
the European tour. We love the European tour. They put out the best golf content on the planet, including us. I mean, their stuff is insane.
They're right up there with us in terms of
Their stuff is
interesting
insane.
golf content. Did you watch the not to give promo to someone else's videos, but
But they're a tour, dude. I don't give a
one-
fuck. Like,
the 1 yard fairway
yep.
with Tyrrell Hatton,
Amazing.
and they were just on a. It was like they were on a
amazing.
track, and there was just a 1 yard.
When you talk about a
fairway,
league, they
and the
do the-
guys had to hit drivers and see if they could land it on a 1 foot fairway. It was great.
Tyrrell Hatton did it. It was
Spoiler.
yeah, whatever.
Way to ruin it. We never do that.
I mean, the video's been out for 2
We
months.
would never do that.
The
Never.
It's been out for a longer.
It's been out for a while.
Oh, I thought you said 2 weeks.
Like 2 months, I said.
Oh yeah,
Something like that.
I thought you said weeks, too, but-
Yeah, no, it was. They're really good. When it comes to actual leagues that like do videos about their players, there's no one does it better than the European Tour.
I would.
You know what I
agree with
mean? The NHL was getting there with those 24/7s leading up to the classics and stuff, and then they got so watered down. I don't even know where you can find them anymore.
that. Yeah, because
I
all
don't
the
even
other
know if
leagues
they do
now,
it.
what they've tried to do is
Hard Knocks, I guess.
all that they do is they try to adapt or adopt the lingo of the cool people on Twitter. So like they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's really in his bag right now,"
Yeah.
and they'll say those things, but they don't actually put out interesting content.
But dude, because they get access to all the guys because the guys are there for tournaments. So like that anger management class, like they had all the guys there, and instead of doing some dumb photo shoot or some interview based whatever video
Yeah.
content, they decided to take their time with all 10 players and make a fucking funny sketch, like
It's
an SNL
creative.
sketch, and that's a really funny thing. Like we don't have the guys showing up to our tournament where we get 15 guys. So I'm glad that one of the tours or one of the tournaments actually do it.
We love them.
Yeah.
I do think so the way it sort of operates when it's in the U.S., it's U.S. Ryder Cup, PGA of America that kind of run the show. Like they get almost full like priority and control. And when it's in Europe, the European Tour gets like full kind of control. So we gotta
Schmooze 'em.
again we schmooze them a little bit. We'll keep pumping them up and then work our way in there. We'll be in Italy.
That would be crazy.
You in Italy, we got to do a whole couple
do a whole
weeks in
thing.
there. I
Let's
mean,
go.
we can't fly all the way over there and be there for like 3 days. We got
No, we gotta go. Maybe we'll go see where did the Borellis start?
Yeah,
You know?
find where. Yeah, we'll
Where
trace
did
it
the
all the way
fucking-
back.
There's
Trace
gotta,
the
there's
lineage.
got to be a Borelli in Italy.
I would imagine.
My grandpa
so.
came from off the boat.
Well, your
Ellis
whole thing's a
Island.
farce if not. Maybe we
Ellis
gotta
Island
find
got
out.
his head shaved because they thought he had lice.
Congratulations to Zach Johnson. Couldn't happen to a better guy. Shout out to Iowa.
That's right. Way to go, Zach Johnson, captain. And then JJ Redick.
Yep.
This guy's the man. This was an excellent interview. So big thanks to JJ coming on. We are going to follow up like we talk about at the end and make sure we do a lot more with him. But enjoy JJ Redick, absolute legend. All right, folks, we're joined by a very special guest, someone who's been on our radar for, it feels like a year and a half. We've been talking JJ Redick about coming on. Big golfer, obviously, unbelievably accomplished basketball player, Duke, in the NBA forever, now in the podcast game. So I feel like we just got a lot to talk about with you because you're all over the place. But welcome to the show. You said it was a treat to be on with us, which again, I think Trent articulated not perfectly, but it makes us feel weird that you would think it's a treat to be on with us.
Well, no, it is. I obviously I'm in the podcast space and have been for a long time, and I don't listen or watch to a ton of other podcasts, but I follow you guys, and I watch, I listen. I love what you guys are doing, and legitimately, I say this, like in this space, you guys make some of the most entertaining stuff on YouTube, and I'm always watching. So I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Wow.
What a start. That's amazing. How'd you find us?
Thank you.
Is it just
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
think that
it's
took
crazy.
everybody back a second right there. That was
Jeez.
more
All right,
than we ever
podcast over.
expected.
That was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
That's our new intro.
How'd you find us? Is it just golf? Was it Barstool? How'd you find us?
Well, little background here on the golf thing. So I played a little bit when I lived in Orlando. I started dating my wife in like 2008 and pretty much stopped playing. I mean, I was all in on basketball. When I moved to Austin in the off season in 2013, I also signed with the Clippers. And so I was in a warm weather place in the summer, warm weather place in the winter. So I got back into it a little bit. And then from 2015 to 2020, I literally played one round. That was in 2018 at Friar's Head, which is an entirely different story. And then when I went to the bubble in 2020, I brought my clubs because there was literally nothing else to do. I didn't want to be stuck in a room the whole time. So I played a few rounds there, and I was like, oh, man, I forgot how much I love this. So I played a few times in the fall, and then my last season, we could not leave our apartment. We could not leave our hotel for a good 2.5 months of the season until we started getting vaccinated in April. So my family was in Brooklyn. I was stuck in New Orleans, and I was fucking lonely. And I came across a bunch of golf content on YouTube, and that's, like, I say this legitimately, that's what got me through. Literally watching you guys play fucking golf with Kiz, all your four-play scramble shit, and then I booked a trip to the Monterey Peninsula, so I started watching all the Golf Digest, every hole at Cypress, every hole at Pebble, and it was legitimately golf content that got me through my final season in the NBA. And then once the season was over and I got back to New York, we went out east to Long Island, and I've just had the bug ever since. It's literally all I think about.
Yeah, dude, your tracks that you play are world class, and it's amazing that you're just getting into it. I message you all the time, like, there's no chance you're at Sabonic right now. There's no chance you're playing Shinnecock. It's every other day you're at Sabonic. I've never seen anything like it.
I'm a member of a course out there, and you guys are welcome to come anytime and play. I'd love to host you guys, but I'm not a member at Sabonic, but I have a number of friends that are. And it's a great place. We do Friday night dinners there with our member friends, with the family. So I'm lucky, man. I really I would consider myself to be a beginner to intermediate golfer, and to just get great invites to places. I don't take it for granted. I really don't, and I know how special these places are, because I'm like anything I get into, whether it's basketball or watches or wine. Now, golf, I'm a nerd. I geek out about stuff. I'm into golf course architecture. I'm into the history of the clubhouse. So when I go to visit these places, I realize I'm walking on historical ground, and I don't take it lightly at all.
It's funny, man, because you were talking about going to, if you go out to Monterey, you're looking at every course, you're trying to take the flyover. I just had my boys in town this past weekend. We played a bunch of Arizona courses, and every hole we came up to, they're like, oh, I remember this from the flyover. And about Sabonic, it's such a private place, it's really hard to find anything. But they had the Women's U.S. Open there in, I think, 2013. And I remember before we got invited, we were going to go play in like 2 weeks, and I just watched the highlight tape, everything I could find from the 2013 U.S. Women's Open like 15 times. I was so jacked up for the golf course.
It's interesting, though, because no matter how many times you watch something on YouTube or, yesterday and Saturday I watched all the coverage of the Genesis, and you can watch it, but you don't really – it doesn't capture it like an in-person experience captures it. There's really nothing like being on a golf course. And so much of my addiction, honestly, is I spent 30 years – trapped inside gymnasiums and hotel rooms and buses and locker rooms and planes. And so for me, it's like this spiritual experience of being out and walking outside in a beautiful place with my buddies, with friends, having some action. It's spiritual, and the physical component of being on a golf course is just awesome to me.
Yeah, that's so. When we first went, 2017, Trent and I went to Augusta to the Masters for the first time. And the Tuesday practice round, we just bought tickets for resale tickets for $700 and just walked on, checked out the course. And I remember, you're right, because every hole, and at that point they'd had the Tiger Woods video game out where you could play every hole. So you literally had you knew it as well as you possibly could. And then when we actually walked on site, I remember us being like, oh, that's how this kind of relates to that. And you can see from, the 18th green, if you look down, you can actually see all the way down by 7 green and 2 green, and how they all actually come together, and what holes you can and can't see from different spots that you had no idea from the actual TV coverage, because you really just see the same camera angles over and over again. That actually seeing how it all kind of flows and what parts come together with other parts, it is a totally different experience, even though it feels like something really well. So you're just a golf nut, it sounds like.
Well, I would say that place specifically, and there's a lot of courses that are like this, but the routing of that is just genius. The routing of that course is genius. And the thing that TV doesn't capture is the elevation changes. Mm-hmm. Those hills are ridiculous. Like number 9, I had no idea until I was on the property that fairway has that steep slope that goes down, and then you're hitting back up into the 9th green, which is not an easy green. And the pros, they just make it look effortless. But yeah, if watching on TV, it doesn't quite capture just how hard that place is.
The mound on 11 right in front of the green, you actually, when you're standing on 12, behind 12, you can't see the golfers because the mound is so high that you just see their heads walking around. And you're like, there's no way. And then you remember that mound pushes all the balls off there and into the pond. It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I remember Rory walked by and he just disappeared. Where'd Rory McIlroy go? He was just right there. And then the mounds to the left of the 8th green too, you cannot believe how big those are. And just, again, seeing all of that actually in real life. And it's so bizarre that it wouldn't be captured, that you can't actually grasp that the slope on 10, how severe 10 is, just going down that hill is, they call it a ski slope, but you're up there that would actually be a really tough ski slope. I might kill myself going down that thing. What's your
hardest hole on the course right there? Number 10, hardest hole on the course. I'll die on that hill. I'll die on that hill.
I think traditionally it is too, but you're. Yeah. I'm getting the feeling you played out there. Is that what's going on here?
Well, so here's the thing. I can neither confirm nor deny that, but.
Yeah, that's right.
I just doesn't want to get killed, but here's a little precursor to maybe I've played.
No, I'm just saying I've been on property. I did an article. I did an interview for golf.com recently about my golf addiction, and it is an addiction. It's a problem. My wife will attest to that. And I mentioned some courses that I had played, and I'm not going to name which course, but one of the courses, I guess, was upset that I mentioned that I had played the course. So I've learned my lesson from now on. But Sabonic is fine. I'll talk about Sabonic because they're good folks over there. But yeah,
is it a place in New Jersey?
You played?
Let's start with it. Is it in the U.S.? Let's just narrow
it down a little.
I've only played courses in North America. I've only played courses in North America.
Does it start with a P?
Is that true?
Yeah, I've never been. I've never done because I wasn't into it until last year, and I've never done the Scotland Ireland thing. New Zealand, that's on the bucket list, of course. But yeah, I've never. It's like Mexico and the Caribbean and the States.
We did Australia 2 years ago, 3 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. I can't believe we went there. That feels like a fever dream.
Sometimes on my phone, the pictures will pop up. Your phone will send you old, hey, remember when this happened on this date? And then one, I was just standing in Tasmania. And I was like, what do you mean that we went to Tasmania? That's definitely the craziest place I've been and I will ever go. But the golf is great.
How often do you guys get – I'm going to say something, and I just wonder how often you get this comment. And the comment is, you guys live the fucking life. I'm so jealous of what you are able to do. It's amazing I think anybody who's into golf looks at what you guys do on a regular basis, and you're like, fuck, why didn't I think of this?
I can't believe you just said that to us. It feels really cool. B, that's probably the number one comment that we get is, or, at least me. And I'm not a lot because we go to the Barstool Classic. So I do kind of chit chat with golfers in person all the time. And that's definitely the number one. I think that's probably right. I mean, if you like the shit that we like, which is playing golf, checking out new places, hanging out with like your buddies, then I don't know that it gets much cooler than what we did for a living. I mean, tomorrow we're going to have a huge match against Max Homa, who's like top 35 ranked player in the world. And we're out there. I mean, that's like a big challenge for us, a big professional challenge. We're trying to defeat Max Homa tomorrow as a crew of 4. So that's pretty ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Where are you guys playing? Are you allowed to say
Playing
that?
a course. We're playing a course probably about 35 minutes south of Scottsdale called Akshin Southern Dunes. It's actually it's a really good course. They have a lot of they do a lot of qualifiers for different tournaments and whatnot there. So it's got some pretty good pedigree. But it's in, I think, Maricopa, Arizona.
There you go.
So all these guys are flying out or already have flown out. I live out here, obviously, as you know. And then we're playing them tomorrow afternoon. So it's go time.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I would
Good luck.
also say we treat it similarly to how you talked about playing these iconic courses like Sabonic. Like, it's not lost on us that we live a preposterous like we get to go play golf all over the world, and that we video it, and that's our job. So I think we treat it in a very similar way. I think people think sometimes that we don't realize how lucky we are, but I guarantee a lot of the conversations we have, we're like, this is just fucking insane that we stumbled into this.
Yeah. It's one of the things we don't want to lose for sure. I mean, like one of our biggest viral moments was at the President's Cup in Australia. People saying that we were a bunch of fanboys and old golf media going after us, and that we're standing behind the 18th green and we're giddy that we dapped up Tiger Woods. And like for me, I never want to be the guys that don't get giddy about going to a golf course or dapping up Tiger Woods. I always want to be that immature child, because that's like what our brand is. We are like the immature boys that just like to go out there and just fucking have fun. I'm never gonna act like I'm like, imagine like going to a place like Sabonic and just being like, ho hum, I'm supposed to be here. No, when I went to Sabonic, I literally was like crying. I was texting people being like, you wouldn't believe where I'm at. Look at what the vending like area looks like the food area looks like. Look at these snacks they have. Can you believe they have these little pre-made snacks? I was going crazy about every little detail. So yeah, no, there's definitely some people out there that act like they were born to be in those positions, and that makes me like sick to my stomach.
Well, you bring up a great point, and it goes back. It kind of ties into what I said about towing the line about like talking about the places you played, and it's like this old school versus new school thing going on in golf, and I think you guys have captured it so well, and I think that's why you have the following you do and the fans that you do, because there's a lot of people like me, like yourselves, who just enjoy the game. There's a funness to it. There's a sense of whatever the opposite of entitlement is. That's what I feel about golf. There's no entitlement, and there's a faction of the old school that probably feels entitled and wants to put up barriers and wants to put up walls. And then the new school feels, how do we make golf fun? How do we make it more accessible? Obviously, we've ridden this wave now for 25 years of Tiger Woods and now all these new young players that have come along and have not the same following, but the same sort of fanatical fandom that Tiger has, and it's great for the game. Like this is how you grow the game. This is why the NBA is what it is, because it's fun, because players are accessible. And I think what you guys are doing is a big part of that movement, and it's great for the game.
Every Plate is America's best value meal kit. While most meal kits come with a premium price tag, Every Plate offers delicious dinners that won't break the bank. Choose between 17 recipes that change each week. Swap proteins, veggies, and sides to your liking. Every Plate's awesome. And look, we talk a lot about diets, not looking our best, trying to look better, trying to self-improve. Cooking's a nightmare. You're trying to go out, trying to eat healthy, but you want it to be delicious. That's a whole conundrum. Every Plate cuts out trips to the grocery store and stressful meal planning so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in just about 30 minutes. Give yourself and your wallet a break. Enjoy this delicious, affordable meals delivered to your door and ready to go in just 6 simple steps.
The grocery store trip is really one of the biggest barriers to entry in terms of cooking, because I'll get the ingredients. Like, I don't properly purchase the ingredients. I'll buy the ingredients for one meal that I specifically want to make, and then I'll just have the leftover ingredients that I'll never use. So having the ingredients for me is huge, because then I'm not wasting all that money like they're saying. So to have it all for me where I don't have to, I'm not put in charge of buying the ingredients, that's a big thing for me.
And it's huge for me, moving into a new place. Now I have my own space to be able to put stuff like this.
Congratulations.
Living with my parents, thank you very much. Living with my parents all those times, like mommy and daddy always want to make you food and all that stuff. Now I'm on my own. When I was in the city, I was doing these types of meal preps, and now all of a sudden we've got Every Plate. I'm able to now just have my Monday through Friday meals selected for me, ready to go. I know exactly what I'm going to do, all the different ingredients, stuff I'm not going to use on my own. I'm just going to go and buy stupid stuff.
Yep.
At the grocery store, I'm going to go buy fast food, and it's going to be unhealthy for me. This is like the best option for me to be able to just get my life together.
So Every Plate's going to save you money. They're going to save you time. You can go buy some new golf balls. You can go work on your game. You can just have a better life. So get started with Every Plate for just $1.79 per meal. That's $1.79 per meal by going to everyplate.com, entering the code FOREPLAY179. One word, FOREPLAY 179. Again, that's $1.79 per meal. That's up to a $104 value if you're not a math guy or girl. So again, please go to everyplate.com, enter the code FOREPLAY179 for just $1.79 per meal. You can get hooked up, and you're going to save some money. You're going to save some time. You're going to have some delicious meals.
Speaking of the NBA, you obviously, you know a little bit about it, and we talk about our love for golf and how you have the bug. Like, did you always have the bug for basketball throughout your entire career, every night going to the arena? I mean, you say that we have the best job of all time. You got to play basketball in the NBA like every single night. Your job was to score baskets and play a game and fucking be one of the best like that we got to watch in our generation. That's fucking awesome.
You were such a monster at Duke, and you had obviously a great NBA career as well. But I remember like growing up, like JJ Redick at Duke is a motherfucking sniper.
So was that love always there, like every night lacing it up?
I don't think I would have done it as long as I did without the love, because it's not just going out and performing in front of 20,000 people. There's so much that goes into it. And look, I'm 6'4". I'm a great athlete, but relative to NBA players, I'm not I'm a below average relative to NBA players. I've got a negative wingspan. So what was required of me to compete at that level for 15 years and do it really well, I had to put so much into it. And I put so much into it because I fucking loved it. You have to understand, like when I was a kid, I homeschooled till 5th grade, and I would get my work done by like 11:30, and I'd just go shoot for hours over and over in my backyard. And what it was for me was every time the ball would go through the net, I would get a little dopamine kick in my brain. And so I got addicted to that. And as even late in my career, 35, 36 years old, I'm going to the gym in the off season 6 days a week and shooting for an hour. I'm going every Sunday. I had an off season routine. Every Sunday I'd make exactly 342 shots. And I had this routine down, and I loved it, man. And I never, ever took it for granted. The guys that last are the guys that think I could lose my job anytime. I know I've got a guaranteed contract, but somebody's coming for me. And I loved the work. I loved everything that went into it. I loved being part of a team. That was for me being, again, a person that grew up in the woods and the sticks, and I was homeschooled. Playing sports and being a part of a team was the thing that developed my personality, developed my ego, developed my sense of identity. And, I was so introverted as a kid, and sports and basketball, they just brought out who I really am. And yeah, I loved every minute of it, man. And honestly, though, I would say this, my last year was so hard. I talked a little bit earlier about all the things that went into it. It was so hard, and part of it was being away from my kids, and my kids getting older. They're now 7.5 and 5.5, 2 boys. And my last year, there were moments where I was like, man, I don't know if I love it as much as I used to. It's probably time for me to retire. I kind of knew going into the season, even like it's probably time. There's other things I want to do with my life. And really being a dad now full time has been more rewarding than anything I've done in my life.
And what made you jump into the podcast game or gave you the idea? Because to my knowledge, you were one of the first athletes to really do that. Now you see that all over the place. But you to me stick out as a guy who decided early on, like, I'm going to do this after my career and even partially during my career. What made you decide that that was going to be something you wanted to do?
I had no idea what I was getting into. When I started my first podcast, which was with Woj at Yahoo, he had a platform called The Vertical. So it was The Vertical with JJ Redick. That was in 2016. I think I launched, 6 years ago, February of 16. And I had no idea what I was doing. Woj asked me to do it. And I said yes. And I did 40 episodes and I was burnt out. And I took a break for about a year. Then I signed with The Ringer. It didn't have to be a weekly pod, so it gave me a little more flexibility. And then when I decided to launch my own company and launch The Old Man and the Three from the bubble, that was months of planning. And it really was just like, all right, how do I build something on my own? Because it was awesome to be part of Woj's thing, and it was awesome to be part of Bill's thing. I had a great experience at both places, but it was more like, how do I build something on my own, along with Tommy, of course, Tommy Alter, my co-host and business partner. And for me, that has been awesome because it's in a way you're like an entrepreneur, and we do a lot of stuff outside of just putting out a weekly pod. And so, those weekly calls that our team does, like it's fun, it's rewarding, it's awesome. And that's why, honestly, that's why I kept doing it even in retirement, is because having your own thing that means something that you're putting out, that you're making content. It's awesome. I love it.
Do you think a big part of it is that it's so different from what you had done kind of your whole life? I mean, working on your body and your jump shot, your free throws, and in the team aspect, and then you got this whole other focus in your life that is a company, and there's finances, and there's views and downloads and content, and we're trying to structure an outline about how we're going to talk through this. Like, do you think a big appeal is that it's just launching yourself into something completely new, or that it was launching yourself into something completely new?
Yeah. Again, I totally 100% yes, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. Like I said to Trent, when I got into it, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea that 6 years later I would still have a podcast that I was doing weekly.
Same.
Yeah, you just don't know. And because we always say that we talk about this a lot on our podcast, not with our guests, but we talk about a lot when we do our 15-minute intros. We've done 2 live shows. We did one in Brooklyn. We just did one in Boston. We talk about this a lot. You can't have a podcast without an audience. You think about all the podcasts on Apple. I don't know the exact number. It's an insane stat. It's something like 90% of all podcasts on Apple have 1 episode. And so a lot of people want to start a podcast, but if no one is listening, it's discouraging. And so a lot of people stop. And so Tommy and I could not be doing what we're doing if we didn't have, number one, we have to have great guests, and we have great guests, and we've got access because we've got friends across the league. But we have to have an audience. We have to have people that want to listen. And I'm constantly aware of that. And so when you talk about those meetings, a lot of it is strategy, vision, what is working now, what is not working. How do we think about 6 months from now? How do we think about 2 years from now? Because without momentum in the podcast space, you're fucking lost. There's just too much. It's too saturated. There's too much content.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It's amazing.
Was it or is it weird for you at all to be sort of, in terms of getting guests and asking guys to come on the show? Is it weird for you to, or do you ever feel a little bit like you're on the other side of it now, right? Like you deal with the media your whole fucking life, and you guys probably had your little inside jokes and your chirps, and people were asking you and pulling you all directions, and now you're kind of like, hey man, like we.
Well, it's so funny because my experience as an athlete my whole life, and this goes back to when I was a teenager, is my whole life, people have asked me for things. I'm the one that's always being asked. And to flip that and now be the one asking, totally uncomfortable every time. Yeah. Like Chris Paul, one of my best friends in the world, we just had him on the show, and we were planning this West Coast trip. Draymond, I went on his show and we did a home and home. So I was like, Dre, I want to do it in person. Here's the dates. He's like, great. I said to ESPN, I'm going to be on the West Coast. Let me do 2 studio days in LA. Great. So we're like, how do we make this trip worthwhile? So we're like, why don't we try to hit CP in Arizona on the way back from LA? And even just sending that text to him it was nauseating. And he's my guy. Like I knew he was going to say yes, but because I know how it feels to always be asked. It's weird now to ask my friends or ask other players. I mean, a lot of times if I don't know the guy, like I'll go through the agent. That makes it easier. It's an easier ask to ask the agent because that's what they do. They ask their client something. But to text my buddies and be like, hey man, I need you to come on the pod this week. Yeah, it's super weird. Super weird.
It's same. I mean, we're obviously come from completely different backgrounds, relationships with these people, but we try to establish relationships and friendships, and we've done a great job with that. And a lot of the guys that we do, have on are genuinely awesome fucking people that we love having on. So we stay in touch with them. We'll DM them, or they'll respond to one of our videos, or we'll text about how they played. And then there's always that moment where you go from texting as like buddies to like, oh, by the way, like, can you come on the podcast tomorrow at 4? And it's like, oh, were you doing all this just to hook me on the show? You always feel like you're flipping the script a little bit, and you don't know how it's going to be taken. I agree. I feel uncomfortable every single time I've ever asked. I feel uncomfortable about it.
Speaking of the NBA, we're just coming off the All-Star game. We watched Steph Curry make 16 threes, score 50 points. As a fellow sharpshooter, what do you see when you watch Steph Curry? Like, what makes him Steph Curry? He just seems like he has reached such a level that it's almost, he's like an alien.
Yeah. I've said this before. Look, Steph is the best shooter, and it's not really close. When you think about the greatest shooters ever, and it's pretty definitive when you talk about volume and efficiency that it's Steph, Ray, Reggie, Kyle Korver, Klay Thompson. Those 5 guys are the 5 best shooters ever. And you could talk about Kevin Durant, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, all these guys. But those are the 5 best. Steph is in a different tier. The reason is those other 4 guys, a lot of it was catch and shoot. A lot of it was off movement, off pin downs, off floppy action, in transition on a catch and shoot. Steph shoots threes every which way, off the dribble, off the catch, off dribble handoffs. So there's no one that does it like him, but watching him, and you saw this last night at the All-Star game, I say this all the time, he has tapped into a higher level of consciousness. Whatever that flow state is, he is able to get into that more frequently than almost any player I've seen in my lifetime. And when he had this slump, you could see it early on. He was 16 away from the all-time record. And you could see it like in his body language. Like he's unflappable to me. When I think of Steph and I think of the playoffs and the Warriors runs and playing against him, he's unflappable. Like make, miss, it doesn't matter. He's just like next shot, next shot, next shot. And he went on this like 4 to 6 week slump where his stats were good, but it wasn't Steph. And you could just see it in his body language. Like think like something was weighing on him. And I really had never seen that before.
Wow.
Have you golfed with him? He's a stick.
Well, so I had a foundation in my hometown. I ran a golf tournament for 3 summers, and Steph came every year to the golf tournament. So I didn't golf directly with him. And my brother ran the event for me. And we joke about this all the time, but like we had Steph Curry at our event in Roanoke, Virginia, and he was like a good player. And I think the last year, like he had maybe made the All-Star game. But looking back, we're like, fuck, dude, we had one of the 2 greatest players of this era, like at our golf tournament in Roanoke at Ballyhack. Like it was Adele came, Seth came. But yeah, I haven't golfed with him yet. A lot of the best NBA players, it's J.R. Smith, Andre Iguodala, Steph, of course. Kyle Korver's good. Kyle Lowry's good. Kent Bazemore's good. I'm probably missing a couple guys. Jason Tatum's good. Doug McDermott's good. I haven't played with any of these guys. I've played with some guys like CP that are hacks like me, but the guys that are really good, no, I haven't played with any of them.
How is your game?
Oh yeah, we can go to that for sure.
My game, I got to a place. So I didn't really have a handicap, but I had inputted like 5 scores over the previous like 12 months so that I had a number. So when I started really golfing in last June, I was like a 20, 21. I got down to a 14 and I felt pretty strong. I was consistently shooting 86 to 89. And then since the summer, I mean, it's hard now. I go to 5-iron and I'll hit balls at 5-iron. But I literally haven't done that in almost 2 months. I played, like I said, I played a good course a couple weeks ago, and then I played over Christmas in the DR.
Good course. Just a
yeah,
good course.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many courses are in the good course list? Just
Yeah, it's true.
Hold on. I don't even. I think I do. I
3?
still have it in my desk. Oh man, I
Yeah,
put it.
it's like-
Yo, so I
can't have-
literally
don't put it
I
on
printed off
paper.
at the. No, I printed off at the beginning of last summer. I printed off the top 100 list, and obviously there's top 100 golfcourses.com. There's golf.com. There's Golf Digest. There's a bunch of different rankings. I can't remember which one I had, but I printed off the one that was most closely associated with classic golf course architecture, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm just gonna start, tallying up how many I hit." It's that collector in me, like a watches wine, like it's. And there's I said this in the golf.com article. There's guys in the golf world that collect golf memberships. There's guys that are members of Cypress, Pine Valley, Augusta, Ohoopee. I mean, you just go down, Shinnecock, and they just that's what they do. They collect golf memberships. So for me,
It's a
it's
different tax bracket.
it's a different tax bracket, 100%. But for me, it's that I want to play this, and again, you two guys talk about that giddiness, like the giddiness, whether it's Sabonic, I played Winged Foot a couple times, like the giddiness driving from my car, driving from my apartment in Brooklyn up to Westchester County to go play Winged Foot, like that hour ride, like you're floating. You're floating, and then you hit a shitty wedge after a great fairway drive on number 1, and you feel like shit, and that captures
like
golf in a nutshell.
That's me for sure.
But I'm like a 15 right now. I've played shitty golf since Halloween, basically, since the courses out east closed and pretty much everything shut down around the city. I played maybe 5 rounds, and I played very shitty golf.
And is the thing that keeps you, or like your love for golf, some people it's love, like for me, I love hitting a long iron, or like when you're thinking about why you get to the course every day, why you go, is it golf architecture for you? Is it literally just walking the course and seeing how it's set up, or what is the love?
It's probably the same thing that I loved about basketball, and that it's that constant search for improvement, and golf captures that better than anything else. I think Michael Jordan said this when he was talking to Steph. It's like, it's the greatest, I believe this, it's the greatest game ever invented. And it's also the most competitive game ever invented, because golf is inherently a competition. You're competing against yourself, your handicap, you're competing against the course. If you got a match going, you're competing against your buddies. You're always competing for your personal best, your highest score, or your lowest score rather. And so, like, there's no way you can, and even a range session. Think about a range session. Like, I wish last summer, this is my big regret last summer. I played so much golf. I played, I don't know, like 50 rounds in like 2.5 months. Like, I was just golfing. And I didn't spend enough time at the range. And now that I, haven't had, everything's closed in New York, like, I like going to 5-iron, because like that to me is like going to the gym and getting shots up. That is like working on your game. So that to me is it. But like you talked about long irons, like for me, like there's something about like hitting a great wedge shot and like hitting at that good golf course I played recently. I was on the 7th hole. I was on the 7th hole, and I hit my drive. I hit a little draw, but it rolled down the hill and went in the left rough, and I was underneath this tree branch, and it was a back right pin placement, and
Georgia pine.
it was 110. It was a pine tree. I'm not going to confirm that it was a Georgia pine tree, but it was a pine tree. And I was 110, and like I had to hit like a little knockdown wedge underneath the tree branch. So I clubbed up to a pitching wedge, and I did like a 3/4 backswing, short follow through, and I hit it within 5 feet and tapped it in for birdie. And like that shot for me, like the strategy, the mental part of it, the strategy, the feeling. It's like you can't. Where else do you capture that? I don't know. There's nothing like doing that on a golf course.
Was there bunkers surrounding the whole hole too? Was there maybe some bunkers around the whole hole?
Dude,
it was well protected.
It
was well
envisioning 3 big bunkers short of the green that you have to carry.
So well protected green.
When you played this random course, when you got to the 12th hole, what club did you use?
So, you guys are gonna kill me.
I just hope
random question.
I don't know why I'm talking about this. We can't put this out.
Somebody on the interwebs just closes down this WebEx and just deletes the podcast.
Hole on every single golf course on the planet,
That's right.
unless it's just a 9-hole municipal. So when you play a full 18, you have to hit the 12th hole. I'm just asking, when you played that one round on that.
So I think the
12th
12th hole on this, I want to say was a par 3, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And
I'm
interestingly
nervous
enough,
now.
I
We're gonna be honest. I'm feeling nervous too.
I'm uncomfortable.
Dude, I'm shaking.
And
and
I never hear from this man ever again.
Yeah.
Just pushing out of frame. Just
If I
Yeah.
remember right, I think there was some sort of body of water that kind of came in front of the green, I want to say.
Wind is sometimes an issue.
It wasn't behind the green. It was in front of the green.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. I'm starting to picture. You're starting to paint a picture for me.
Yeah. And and I think the first day I hit a 6, and then the second day I hit an 8 both times. Both times I played that hole.
This course sounds so pretty. I wish in my lifetime I could play it at some point.
Fuck you,
Sounds
man.
tricky.
You know
Hitting a
what?
couple
That's
different-
great.
There's a
great clubs in there.
This guy had a full weekend. Holy shit.
Hey, why 342?
Yeah.
Well,
what was that about?
It sounds super random, but there's 7 spots on a. Yeah, I'm getting my golf and basketball mixed up. There's 7 spots on a court. It's like the wing, the corners, the elbows, and then the top of the key. So if you make 22s, like spot 2s, that's 140 shots. Shoot 5 free throws. 20 spot 3s, 20 makes. That's 140. Shoot 5 free throws. Same 7 spots, 3 off the 3-1 dribbles going right, 3-1 dribbles going left. You shoot 5 after each of those 2. It's 20 free throws and 322 made jumpers. It's 342. So that's how I came. But it was like it wasn't like a thing. I was like, I'm gonna make 342. It's like I'm gonna do this routine, and I was like, fuck, it's 342 shots, and then I did that. I mean, I started doing that my 3rd year in the NBA, and I did that every Sunday in the off season for the rest of my career. I would always take Saturdays off. Like, people don't understand. Like, I'm 100%. I'll be honest with y'all.
All right, grooming products, men's grooming line. Okay, we're talking about Wood from Barstool Sports. Wood is for the guy who knows that his best life doesn't just come to him. He's got to go out and find it. A little proactive.
I use the Wood aftershave product after I shave my mustache into this beautiful looking thing. I think you used the shaving cream to. I mean, that shaving cream had to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
You really had to cut through a lot of hairs.
We were carving through a forest.
Right. So we use these products all the time. I mean, we don't shave like this all the time, but I do use the body wash. I have it in my shower at home. Fresh Tracks is the scent. There's just so much good stuff. There's a whole line of
I
it.
brought it with me here
Yeah.
to Arizona.
While I
Packed it in my bag.
While I might not use the shampoo particularly often, I do
yeah.
use the shaving cream for my head.
There you go.
There you go.
Shaving cream's nice. It's good
lovely.
quality. I mean, yeah, it's a really fantastic line. It's amazing that Barstool made this and produced it and the whole thing. It's what I use now. It's crazy.
Shop Wood at getwood.com. We're at your local CVS. They got shampoo and conditioner, body wash, deodorant available in 3 different scents from Summer House. We love summer houses. Shout out to Glenny Balls. Golden Hour and Fresh Tracks.
That's mine.
Some great golden hours here in Arizona. Really good golden hours with the mountains
I can imagine.
and the hue that you get.
Our guy, Hanky Panky, puts up good golden hours.
A lot of them. You follow him on the gram?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. He's got a lot of good golden hour ones. They got the face wash, scrub, moisturizers, body wash, deodorant. All products $15 and less. All products sulfate free. So go check it out at getwood, WOULD.com, getwood.com, or at your local CVS.
I'm living the life right now. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. All of the things that I could not do as a player. I just went skiing in Jackson Hole. It was a stupid decision to learn how to ski at Jackson Hole. Wouldn't recommend that. But I'm doing all these things. When I played, our season would end, whether it was first round of the playoffs, second round of playoffs, conference finals, whatever it was. Our season would end. I guess I made the finals once. Our season would end. Whatever that Monday was, whether we lost on Saturday, whether we lost on a Wednesday, like whatever that next Monday was, I was back in the gym. I was training. And I would sit down at the beginning of the off season and I would map out day by day. This is when I'm going to take my 4-day break here. I'm going to go on a long weekend trip here. I did not vacation really. I barely saw my family, like my brothers, sisters, my parents. I would see them twice a year, and it would always be at a game. They would come to Charlotte or they'd come to DC. Like I was in it. And so that 342, it just became part of it. You know, it became part of the thing. And then when I retired, like I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to go play Pebble. I'm going to go play Cypress. Like I'm going to, if I get an invite, you know, that course that we were talking about, when I got the call, I was like, I'm going to move heaven and earth. I'm going to move everything in my life. I'm going to make this happen. You know, I'm going to go to the Masters. That's been like my bucket list sports item. When somebody says, what is the one sporting event you want to go to? It's like, I want to go to the Masters, and I'm going to do that this year. So I'm just crossing shit off, man. It's a good life. It's a good life.
You've had
awesome.
You've had a bunch of great calls, let's say. You know, Coach K calls you, wants to come play the Duke. You go to the NBA, obviously. What's like the best call that you've ever got?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would say I'm gonna give you 3. So obviously the Duke call. Like when I realized, I grew up a Duke fan. It was my dream school. I really truly wanted to go to UVA because I was raised in Virginia, and we had lived in Charlottesville. I grew up in Roanoke. I wanted to be loyal. My 2 best friends from Boo Williams AU team were a year ahead of me, so they had already committed to UVA. But when I got that Duke call, man, I was like, all right, I don't know why I'm even wasting anybody else's time. I'm going to call Coach K back and tell him I'm coming. David Stern, when he called my name, you know, as an athlete, that's your dream, to be at the top level of whatever sport you're playing. So when I heard my name called with the 11th pick, the Orlando Magic select JJ Redick, like that was a big moment. And then the other one, the call that changed the trajectory in the course of my career was actually a text message. My wife and I went to Napa for my birthday, and our anniversary are 2 days apart. So we always usually do like a 3 or 4 day trip right at the end of June. So we were in Napa, and Doc Rivers' wife, my wife taught Pilates in Orlando, took classes from my wife, and Doc Rivers' wife texted Chelsea and said, hey, what's JJ's number? I think Doc is going to call him tonight at the start of free agency. This was in 2013. And at that time, I thought I was either going to go back to Milwaukee or go to Detroit or Minnesota. Again, not knocking any of those places, and certainly not knocking any of those teams. But to get the call from Doc that night that the Clippers were a possibility, and I was going to get to play for Doc, and I was going to get to play in LA, and I was going to get to play with CP and Blake and Jamal and Matt Barnes and DJ, like that was what changed my career. Like I was a good NBA player, and I because I was in that system with those guys and we played at such a high level, the rest of my career was much higher than my first 7 years. And that call was important.
Wow.
And I thought one of the calls was going to be the Zoom call. I thought he was setting us up for him to be like, and then the third one was the 4 plays call. But those other 3 are good too. Those other 3 are good too.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good ones, I guess. Just like a good,
Dude,
good
I was
golf
listening.
course. Good one.
I was listening to your podcast when you guys had Colin Morikawa on, because I was then interviewing him maybe like 2 weeks after, and I was obviously super nervous about it. I don't do interviews by myself, and he was coming in, and I was just like, that was my big like, holy shit, what am I gonna fucking talk to this guy about? Even though I know how to speak to people, like I don't know, I got nervous. So I'm
Wait,
listening.
you got nervous? That's crazy, man. I never.
So I'm listening, and your guys' pod is amazing, and you had such a great natural conversation. I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to do any of this. But one of the things that you talked about, and it was like mid conversation, was like how the golfers don't wear like street clothes from the car to the golf course. Like Colin kind of brought it up. I think you guys like touched on it for maybe like a minute or two, and then you went on to the next thing. So I really like doubled down on that when I talked to him, and I said, like, dude, like I think that's a fucking unbelievable idea. Are you seeing what Tony Finau's doing now? Every single day, going to these tournaments, he's wearing a whole new outfit. Nike has him just all in street clothes. Like that little thing you guys talked about, absolutely is now a real thing.
That's amazing.
100%.
That's amazing.
And I mean, it's to me, I would love a thank you from Tony Finau, but then it should be directed to you guys because you guys gave me the idea. But at this point, like it's become like I need people to start doing this in golf. It's a culture change. It's like I want to be able to see what all the guys are wearing. I want to see what Brooks Koepka chooses. I want to see what all you know what I'm saying. So I thought that was so cool that you guys kind of like brought that to reality, and now it's like a real thing.
The NBA has done this really better than anyone else. You know, we at post Malice in the Palace, David Stern instituted the dress code. You got to wear a blazer on the bench. When I first got in the league, like with the Orlando Magic, to fly, to get on the team plane, you had to have a dress shirt on and dress slacks and dress shoes. So my first few years in the NBA, like we were super strict about that. And then guys like Nick Young and Russ, they started playing on the edges a little bit. And now it's this whole phenomenon. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow League Fits, but it's this massive Instagram account. Those guys were just in Cleveland for the All-Star break doing all these collabs with brands. A bunch of NBA guys now have fashion labels or collaborations with major fashion labels. So they've sort of tapped into this crazy marketplace. And the other thing is they've shown their personalities. Like we as an NBA player, we got to show our personalities for 10 seconds. You know, you walk, you get through security, that walk to the locker room when you're on camera. Every team now has like basically a runway that you walk through. Dallas, when I was there, like their runway is fucking crazy. They do like slow-mo videos they post on social. And it goes back to what we were talking about. Like golf is missing that. Golf, I want to know if you let Ian Poulter rock a fit from the parking lot to the clubhouse, like what kind of shit would he wear?
Right.
What kind of shit you're
I'd
bringing?
be interested.
I would be interesting. You're building an audience. Like the PGA is missing this. And I think Colin, right after you guys talked, right, he showed up in like a full suit. It was
that was like what we kind of we kind of narrowed down that at the Northern Trust it was going to be at Liberty National. What better time? He's staying in downtown Manhattan. Like, let's get a suit on, maybe bring a briefcase, show up to work. Like, that's hilarious to be able to do that. Like, show up in a fucking tux. I told him to show up in a black tie tux. He didn't do that, but he ended up missing the cut, which is a real wrinkle in this whole story.
Yes,
like the fact he played horrifically
How'd Tony do?
bad.
How'd Tony do?
Tony's first tournament wearing the new outfit, missed the cut. So I mean, they're 0 for 2.
Yeah.
But you know, how did Tony end up finishing this week with the new Nike? Did he break the curse? I gotta go.
I don't remember
I think
seeing
the
him
curse
high
still
up there.
lives for first.
Wasn't there outrage? There was outrage when JT rocked a hoodie the first time, right? Like people were freaking out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
those
people panic about that.
Those Grayson hoodies are fire. They're the best. Those cashmere
Dude,
Grayson
the
hoodies.
hoodies in general right now in golf are just like when a guy walks out. Like JT this past weekend was rocking a hoodie again, and just seeing him in the professional arena basically of golf with a hoodie on, it just looks cool. I mean, we're talking a lot about the entrance and all that, and we've talked about NBA does that in marketing their own players better than probably anybody, and especially better than
any sport.
Golf, yeah, the NBA crushes that, but. In golf, I mean, at some point, it's got to even get beyond just the entrance from the parking lot to the course. I mean, why aren't guys on the course just able to wear pretty much whatever they want? Like, why, why is there this, eventually, like, the wrong side of history is going to be that you, like, have to wear a collared shirt, right? Like, it's continuing to move this other end. Why the fuck do you have to wear a collared shirt? You don't have to wear a collared shirt to do anything else in the world except play golf.
Right.
Tiger Woods with the mock neck changed the game. I mean, yeah, Pat Perez should be able to show up with like baggy Jordan shorts and a t-shirt and his Jordan golf shoes and absolutely rip around the golf course. Like
Why
that's who
not?
he is. That's what
Like,
he
why
wears at
not?
home. That's what he wears when he golfs just casually. Yeah, it's obviously going that way. It'll be a slow burn, but it is nice to see guys start to toe the line. It's the NHL is in that line right now, in that world where you have to wear like the dress pants and the suit. But like you see a guy like David, like Pasternak on the Bruins, and he'll wear the most ridiculous suit ever with like a floral hat. It goes completely viral every single time. You're talking millions of views just for that 10-second walk. It's like, how do people not see that 10-second walk is so innocent and so easy to just implement, and then all of a sudden it makes your sport so much better.
Totally agree. Totally. I had a teammate, Spencer Hawes, and my buddy Mike Dunleavy used to do this too. But if there was like a game on a holiday or like a themed night, they would just go all in. They would go to Amazon. Like Spencer Hawes on a Christmas Day game wasn't playing, so he was on the bench in a Christmas tree suit. Literally like 100
also like
little
7'1".
Christmas trees.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Massive.
Mike Dunleavy one time they had like a 70s night for the Bulls, like a theme night for the Bulls, and he was injured. And he rocked like a full 70s suit, giant collar out over the lapels. Like, again, when we talk about golf, like I would love to see more personality out of golf. That would be awesome. Frankie, by the way, Colin had that whole bit he had about on my podcast about the sponsorships, right, on guys' shirts, and how some guys really overdo it. And look, not everybody is Tiger that has this amazing deal and can literally rock a swoosh, polo, and that's it. Like, that's paying me enough money. So I get why guys are doing Frank's hot sauce on their on their shirt, but I would like the fashion game in golf. It's such an untapped thing. And I know you guys have a relationship with Peter Millar, and I mentioned Grayson. I'm going to shout out Peter Millar as well. Love their gear. So just don't want to put you guys in a tough spot
right
there.
You could feel it. You could feel it. When, you could feel it too.
audio.
You go back to it when he said Gracie. You could just feel all of us should be like,
Yeah.
okay.
Because then Riggs was like, all hoodies. He had a
All
really weird
hoodies,
response.
all
He's like,
hoodies, all hoodies.
all
Well,
hoodies.
I feel like you were trying to flip it on us there with the whole good course thing. Now you're like, oh yeah, how about all these other fucking FootJoy? Huh? They do a great job. Yeah. How do you guys feel?
Peter Millar, exceptional. All right.
There we go.
Great
I
Love
appreciate that.
Great
Very
move.
much appreciate that.
Yeah, well, how do you think we're gonna do against Max Homa? You've watched some of our game. I mean, Max Homa's gonna be a fucking test tomorrow, man.
The question is, like, how sharp are each of your games right now? Because what has made you guys such a formidable foursome is the fact that on any given hole, one of you hits a ridiculously dumb shot. Like, somebody's gonna hit it to 5 feet every fucking time. And look, if you're not sharp, like, you may take an L tomorrow. I don't know, but that whole format it's wildly entertaining. I love it. By the way, did you guys ever figure out why Darius Rucker had to bounce early at Troubadour?
Yeah, he had
like a radio hit or something.
No, it was he was playing
EA
Madden
Sports.
against.
Yeah,
he was
he had to
playing
do some
Madden
video
against
thing.
someone, and they were going live at 7:00. Like, he had to play Madden at 7 p.m. So he had to leave at like 6:15. But yeah, no, the beginning of that match you can watch. Like, Darius was definitely a little like turned off to it, or cold at least. We weren't really like vibing with him. I think after we won the first hole, or maybe like we took a little bit of a lead, and he realized that it was going to be like really competitive. He was like one of the best people we've ever played with. Like chirping us, like calling us like pieces of shit, like making putts and running around the green. It was fucking hilarious.
Is Jake Owen the drunkest person you've had on that
by
series?
far.
Yeah.
That's why Darius was like, "This is a problem. Like, I want to win." Our guy Jake Owen is.
He's
not even
having a
human
good
being
time.
right now. Yeah,
Which
he's
He's
That
having
was-
a good time.
That was huge
Huge.
for us because he's a player. He can hit the ball really
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So we needed
he's
to.
good.
I was like, at Troubadour they have those little hatchets where they have like tequila under the, in the ground and shit. And I was pulling him over like, oh yeah, like, oh, what's in here, and just trying to get him going. And I think that was huge because he could barely stand up by the end of it.
I want to say this about Discovery properties in general. And I asked Colin, the last question I asked Colin on the pod was, if you could only play one course the rest of your life, what would it be? And my expectation was that he was going to say an an Augusta or a Wingfoot or a Pine Valley or something like that. And he said, honestly, just a discovery property.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a few. I was in Cabo for my dear friend's 40th birthday in November, and a buddy of mine hooked us up at Chileno Bay. And we played 2 rounds there. And when we were kind of leaving Cabo, we kind of were just like, dude, we all have played amazing courses. Like my one of the guys we were with is a member at a top 25 course in the New York area. Like, we've all played amazing courses. I don't know that there's a better golf experience than a discovery property in terms of
True.
Like, the course is always in great shape. The service, the people, it's amazing. The ranges are just like pristine. And then you mix in just the element of fun. And we talk about like showing up, you could literally play in a bathing suit, barefoot with no shirt on at a discovery property. It's just like, golf as it's meant to be played. It's not stuffy. There's no nervousness. Like I played Marion, and that first tee shot, like on number 1, like standing there with the starter, and you got the outdoor bar right there. You got everybody sort of watching, like standing.
You're like hitting
standing
off
there.
somebody's dinner plate.
Oh man, it's so nerve wracking. You go to a discovery property, it's like, fuck it, dude. I'm gonna let it rip. Let's go.
It's the best.
And it's like, if you're choosing to go out and play golf for the day, what's the whole point in doing it is to have fun. That's it. It's like, you're not doing it for a status. You're not doing it you're literally going out to try to enjoy yourself as much as a human being possibly can. Why would you want to be walking on eggshells or uncomfortable, uncertain if you're allowed to do this, or this? Discovery properties, you're right, are nailing it, and clearly they're having a lot of success because they're popping up more and more. I heard that place in Cabo is off the charts. What's it called again?
Chileno Bay. There's 2 of them.
Yeah.
There's El Dorado and then Chileno Bay. But I played them both. Chileno Bay it's amazing.
Aren't they putting one
amazing.
out in the Hamptons?
There's a social club out in the Hamptons. I've heard rumors that they are. There's a few projects that I know are in the works. They either have announced, but they haven't got clearance yet. But I know that I've heard they're doing one in the Hamptons, which, again, the land out there is stupid.
Yeah,
stupid,
it really
stupid
is.
expensive. I want to say one thing real quick, just to clarify. I'm not shitting on Marion East, by the way. I'm not shitting on Marion.
No.
One of the most special places in the world. Okay. Like, it's spectacular.
covers
One of
his
the most
bases.
beautiful golf
He's
courses.
got some
Like,
PTSD
insane.
from something over there.
Yeah,
No.
Something.
I got nothing bad to say about Marion. I'm just saying, like, my point was, and I didn't mean to single out Marion, but a lot of places, you go and there's some nerves on that first tee, and especially if you're a guest of someone. And, like when I played Marion, the member that was hosting us, I had never met before. I didn't know, and now him and I text all the time. He's a fantastic human being, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. But, you just don't know. You're in an unfamiliar place where discovery properties, you go and it's just like, just sheer joy. It's amazing.
So who's your foursome against the 4-man scramble? Who are your 3 teammates?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I bet you could find some sticks.
Yeah. I'm probably my first text would be to Colin, probably.
Yeah, I was like, I mean,
I'm going to go with Colin, Adam
That's
Scott.
So that's
Adam
not allowed.
Scott. No, hold on. I'm going to go Colin, Adam Scott, and my brother. And the 4 of us.
Okay.
And if Adam
looking
can't make
good.
it, I'll invite Spencer Haas. Spencer's pretty good too, and you guys would love Spencer. He's awesome to play golf with. He was on that golf trip I did to the Monterey Peninsula. It was me, my brother-in-law, and Spencer. We do a guys trip every year, and this was the first year that we actually did a golf trip because now that I play, we did all the Monterey courses, and Spencer's awesome to play with. Awesome.
Colin's playing left-handed. That's fine. He just has to play left-handed.
Then it's a fair match.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate it. I feel like you're one of those guys we could talk to for 5 hours. We could talk golf. We could talk anything.
We have to do one in person one day after a round of golf. Go around a fire pit and just fucking shoot the shit.
I would love that. We should plan something this summer. Seriously, we'll put something on the date, and you guys come out to Long Island. We'll get something done
For sure.
Done.
Be awesome.
Is this I was thinking about, is this the first NBA player we've ever had on?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there might be
Trailblazer.
like a name that's
I'm
just
a trailblazer. Yeah.
it could be a preposterous name that I'm just omitting, but I can't really recall.
What an insane first one to have too. Like it's crazy.
Outrageous.
Starting at the top.
Much better golfers and much better players than me, but I appreciate it, guys.
Well, if you haven't already, make sure you check out JJ's podcast, The Old Man and the Three. And you guys got your own little company. You got a few others, right? A podcast, it's not just the one.
Yeah, well, we produced Adam's podcast for a bit, and again, Ben Clymer's his partner on this. Ben is the Hodinkee guy, the guy that founded Hodinkee. Ben and I are close friends. I'm actually having lunch with him in like 10 days. So they actually kind of rerouted their sort of strategy on that, and they're doing video stuff now for YouTube. And then we produced Duncan Robinson's podcast for a year. We did, I think he did 40 some episodes with us. But he just left, and it was an amicable split. And it was because, somebody gave him a bag. So we were like, dude, take that deal, please. We're
like, touche.
Touche. So we're happy for him. But, yeah, we it's interesting. When we started the company, again, this goes back to what I was saying about just the podcast space in general. Like, it is so hard to have a podcast that people listen to. And so when we first started, we're like, oh, dude, we'll do a political pod. We'll do, a different sport pod. Maybe we get another NBA guy. We'll have 5 or 6 under our umbrella in a year. That was the thought process. And, it's hard enough to build one audience for our show. It requires so much work and really so much interaction with your community. We try to do so much stuff for the listeners, for the YouTube viewers, and it's hard enough to do that. And I can't imagine like doing that for 5 other podcasts. I really can't. The stuff we're focusing on now, like with the company, is all stuff outside of podcast space. So, we have a couple entities that we've trademarked that we're sort of looking to get picked up as like, TV shows basically. But again, all that stuff is like, it's just
awesome.
It's been super fun, and it gives me something to do besides go on ESPN and kill Stephen A for a day.
Incredible. Well, yeah. If you don't already, The Old Man and the Three, go, subscribe, download, rate 5 stars, and check it out. I imagine you'll be a lifelong listener. But JJ, we appreciate it. Let's set that up. Let's have an in-person show. Let's play a little golf. And let's have you get a team that doesn't include Colin Morikawa and maybe play a 4-man scramble.
I love it. We'll do that. I'll have some Joes with me, not some pros. I'll have some Joes with me, dude. And I mean it, guys. You guys are doing awesome stuff, and I don't take this lightly, like being a guest of the show. This has been awesome for me. It's a true honor. Appreciate you guys. Love what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, man. That's
Thank
a wild
you.
Thanks,
comment.
man.
Yeah.